By virtually every account, the 2002 Winter Olympics were the best Olympics in history.
It was magical.
Salt Lake and Utah in general did a tremendous job hosting the games.
The legacy that's been left behind that is still real in this community is palpable.
This community found the fire within.
All Utah had every reason to be proud.
The global impact for us is huge.
We really do try to celebrate our Olympic heritage, and you can tell when you come in here that this is someplace special.
Every single day we strive here to keep that legacy going.
We communicated something to the entire world, which is when our community came together to host the world, we do it right.
The games will come back to Utah at some point in time. Our legacy is so strong that we will have a games come back. It's hard to argue a better place in North America.
Well, good evening. Thanks for being with us for this KSL special report, Our Olympic Legacy. For nearly 20 years, Utah has kept the spirit of the 2002 Games alive. The fire within still burns bright in our people and the places that continue to host the world's best athletes year after year. And as Mike Hedrick shows us, it's a legacy that lives on, and we hope it will remain long into the future.
In 2002, Utah welcomed the world, and our secret was out. We had the greatest snow on Earth.
Into an even steeper section.
The fastest ice in the world. And a community that stood tall after tragedy.
There is the flag that was buried in the rubble for 3 days.
A gust of wind came up and it was blowing the flag out of our hands, and the 8 of us stood there with clasping onto the flag, and to me it was the breath of the victims of that tragedy telling me that they were behind me, they were behind us.
On behalf of a proud, determined, and grateful nation, I declare open the Games of Salt Lake City.
Touted as one of the most successful games in Olympic history, Salt Lake 2002 actually made money, $100 million. The games created 35,000 jobs in Utah, and $4.5 billion in sales boosted our economy.
Beautiful and straight in the air, just needs to put it down on his feet. Yes, he does it! Pack is back!
It was exciting.
I was born and raised in Kearns, and never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that we would be hosting the world here.
The Olympic legacy that was left, you know, the volunteer spirit that was captured.
We're glad you're at the Olympics in Salt Lake.
The Salt Lake Games lit the fire within all of Utah. 24,000 people signed up to volunteer during the Olympics. Everyone wanted to be a part of history.
How much time off work are you taking?
A month.
I've been to 3 different games since then, and nothing's ever quite been like Salt Lake.
Utahns took pride in our success, convinced that if the time came, we could do it again.
I mean, all the venues are in place. It's a perfect location.
We've done it, and we will only do it better in the future.
It was a fun time, and we want to bring it back.
And now that time has come. Yes! Chosen by the U.S. Olympic Committee as the bid city for a future Winter Games.
The legacy that's been left behind that is still real in this community is palpable.
To see how that experience has affected this community, I cannot wait for another games to come in.
I think it would be great to have them back again.
It's kind of a can-do environment here.
Optimism is high. The support is there. Utah's Olympic legacy is poised to last long into the future.
It really goes to our brand of what the state is wanting to be. We love our Olympics. We love hosting international athletes and events, and it's really good for everybody.
Wonderful venues, athlete development, elite athletes. It doesn't get any better than Utah.
Well, one of the most iconic symbols of our Olympic legacy is the Olympic cauldron, which recently underwent extensive restoration and was re-erected in a brand new cauldron plaza outside Rice-Eccles Stadium. The newly refurbished cauldron stands more than 100 feet tall atop a 30-foot water feature. It has 732 glass panels lined with LED lights, and it now features a clean burning flame. For the Utah architects behind the project, it was an honor to help the legacy live on.
This cauldron will stand firmly in place as a lasting remember of the legacy of the 2002 Winter Games. A legacy that will continue to enrich the lives of all Utahns now and throughout the future.
The 2002 Olympics was the greatest party that Utah ever put on. It's exciting to be involved in this project now because it's kind of celebrating that party and the idea of how great the Olympics were, and hopefully it'll leverage us in the future too. If we were to develop any kind of iconic symbol of 2002 Winter Olympics, there's nothing better than the Olympic cauldron. Traditionally, in other Olympics, the cauldron has always been, an important symbol and has been preserved. And, obviously, we want to put our best foot forward as the state of Utah. We didn't know how to do this. We were researching and investing at every level trying to figure out how to accomplish it. We took the cauldron completely down. We took it off-site. We sandblasted it down to bare metal. We took out all the guts and everything in it, and then we started building it back. The original glass that was on the cauldron was in poor disrepair, and its attachment method was less than desirable for a longevity of it. So we actually had new glass made. It was made by a local artisan. Then we have new attachment of that glass that we engineered that we'll never have to worry about it coming off in the future. Starting this project, there were kind of two major goals, and the one was to preserve the heritage that the cauldron symbolizes probably better than anything else associated with the 2002 Winter Olympics. And so the preservation of that was one of the things, and the other one was access. The cauldron has never been accessible to the public anytime anybody wants to walk up to it, see it, experience it. You had to get behind gates and fences and things, but now it's going to be welcoming to the public. People come from all over the world, and we envision that more people will come to this given the historical nature of it and the information that's going to be provided at the Cauldron Park. They'll be able to learn about the Olympians and the Paralympics. Hopefully people realize that the flame is still alive.
Paralympic Games back here to Utah.
Still ahead, bringing the games back to Salt Lake, where our bid stands now, and the big next step that's taking our bidding team to Switzerland. Plus, our Olympic legacy doesn't just live on in winter sports. Alex Cabrero shows us how summer sports have found a home here and are bringing some big names to the Beehive State. But first, the head of the 2002 Games, Mitt Romney, shares the story behind the creation of the cauldron, how the Games motto inspired its design, and how the iconic lighting almost didn't happen.
If it's light the fire within, you're going to have a cauldron with a fire inside it. So it needs to be made of glass. So we said, okay, we'll put the fire inside the glass. It'll be inside the glass and, of course, outside as well. And then we talked to the specialists about how to build that. They said, well, it's great to have a fire inside glass, but you know what fire does inside glass? It turns the glass black. So you're going to quickly have it all black, and you're not going to see the fire. We said, what are you going to do about that? He said, well, you're going to have to put a series of nozzles with water pouring down the inside of the glass, on the entire surface of the glass. This is the winter, by the way, so that water could freeze. So we had to have a heating system, pump system to get that water up there. And then how do you light it? How do you light that thing? We had two pilot lights to make sure if one went out, the other was there. And just before the opening ceremonies, a big wind hit and blew up both pilot lights. And there was no way to get up there to get that thing lit. Now, the people who designed it had a fail-safe, which is a little flint and a long string, such that if the worst came to worst, they could pull that string and hopefully it would light the fire. And indeed, that's how we got that fire going that night. There were a few of us with our hearts in our throats.
And look, they reenact the scene where they all reach their hands toward the gold medal, and now to light the cauldron.
Welcome back. When you think of our Olympic legacy, you probably think of Utah's snow, our mountains, and the Winter Games. But with a record number of local Olympians competing in the Tokyo Games, it's clear Utah is becoming a hub for summer sports, too. Alex Cabrero has a look at one Olympic sport that's hoping to build its legacy after a big showing this summer.
It all still sounds the same. The competition, the climbing, the crowd. But at the USA Climbing National Championships held in Mill Creek and Lehigh, it sure felt different.
We can't sit back on what we did. What are we going to do better? And how are we going to do it better?
Mark Norman knows the world is watching. And since he's the CEO of USA Climbing, he wants to prove, or he has to prove, the team's success during the Tokyo Olympics wasn't a fluke.
The Olympics were amazing. I mean, yeah, when we first came on, we meet with the U.S. Olympic Committee and talk about our potential. The USOPC at the time didn't think we had potential. So, yeah, they gave us a 0% chance of making it to the games.
However, the USOPC supported the team, and it thrived, qualifying the maximum amount of athletes for Tokyo, with 3 of the 4 making it to the finals.
And he has got it.
And Murray's very own Nathaniel Coleman winning the silver medal.
Could we have written a better story for this?
It's what Norman envisioned when he moved the team from Colorado to Salt Lake City 3 years ago.
Kind of the old way of you build it and they will come. We built our little training center here, which you've been to, which is pretty basic.
The team is now looking to build a new world-class training center in Salt Lake, and there are plenty of competitive climbers coming to Utah because of the team's success.
Now we have over 30 athletes living and training in Salt Lake City, going to the U, and more each month saying, okay, I need to move to Salt Lake. We really are becoming the climbing hub of the U.S.
It's exactly why things here feel different now. When it comes to climbing, Team USA is no longer the underdog.
Yeah, I think the games showed that. We knew we could do it. We knew the athletes could do it. The athletes knew they could do it.
And Paris 2024 is only 3 years away.
We think about it every day.
Coming up next, a look at Salt Lake's bid for a second Games, the cost, the benefit, and the woman who's leading the charge to use our lasting legacy to bring the world back. The countdown is on. The Beijing Winter Games now less than 80 days away. The countdown is also on to the next Salt Lake Games. Nothing's for sure yet, but officials feel like it's inevitable the Olympics will one day come back to Utah.
We are so fortunate that we have all of the venues here in place and everything, the experienced people, the enthusiasm of this market, the political support. We're really like a dream city in terms of being able to bring back the games because all the pieces are in place.
The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee has already decided if they bid for a future Winter Olympics, Salt Lake City will be the place. And the Salt Lake City, Utah Committee for the Games has already begun working on a plan to wow the International Olympic Committee. It won't be easy, but it will certainly be easier here than in a place where they've never been held before.
Most cities need 7 years. They're given 7 years to prepare. We could do it in 3 or 4.
And the experts say we could do it for a lot less money thanks to our existing world-class venues, transportation system, and experience. A 2018 exploratory committee report estimates a $1.3 billion budget for a 2030 Games, a number the committee believes would easily be covered by potential revenues. They also predict that bringing the Games back would bring a $6 billion boost to Utah's economy, and along with it, 50,000 new jobs to our state. But beyond the money, there's hope a second Salt Lake Games will push Utah's love for the Olympics further into the future.
As we look to the future and bringing in games back to Utah, I know the foundation we laid in 2002 will continue to propel us and to inspire our youth.
To create another generation that gets the opportunity to see the best of what it means to be human.
Leading the charge to bring the Games back to the Beehive State is an Olympian who has really dedicated her life here in Utah to keeping the spirit of the Games alive. Alex Cabrero has her story.
Every Games is different, right? And every Games has something special to it.
When you've been to 4 Olympics, you get a feel for how the world responds.
Salt Lake, for me, it was so special because I got to compete at home.
For Catherine Rainey Norman, home meant her home country. In 2002, she'd already been to the Olympics in Nagano, Japan, but the last time a Winter Games was held on American soil was before she was born. So the feeling of competing in Salt Lake City was something powerful.
To walk in those opening ceremonies, to have the 9/11 flag, to have that moment together, and then you know, Team USA just kicked off, and it felt like we couldn't be stopped. Every event you went to, you just heard USA, 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 and it was amazing.
The Salt Lake Games gave Rainey Norman a love for Utah, and just a few years later, she decided to call Utah her full-time home. After competing in Torino and Vancouver, she hung up her skates, but she couldn't leave the world of speed skating behind.
You put so much into it as an athlete. So much of your life and your heart and your soul goes into it that to completely cut ties and walk away, I don't think many of us are capable of doing that.
So she's made a career of it, coaching, training, and keeping Utah's Olympic legacy alive.
So many of us continue to stay involved in it because we believe in the power of sport. We saw how it transformed us individually, how it opened up doors, how it opened up possibilities that we didn't think existed for us, and we want to pay it forward.
Now, Rainey Norman is taking on her biggest challenge yet, bringing the games back to Salt Lake.
You know, it definitely keeps me up at night at times, for sure, to be candid. I recognize the responsibility behind this role and the pressure of this role, right? Of making sure that this is a good decision for our community, making sure that this helps advance the Olympic and Paralympic movement. I recognize that this is a true honor.
And she's ready to show the rest of the world why we are the right choice to host again.
I believe in the ideals of the Olympic and Paralympic movement deep in my heart. I know that it changed me as a person and it's made me who I am. I've had the privilege and honor to see it affect our communities and to affect our youth. And so, you know, yes, it's a lot of work, but it is one of the greatest opportunities of my life. So just so happy to be involved and trying to make this happen.
Rainey Norman and other members of the Salt Lake Committee for the Games are headed to Switzerland in December to meet one-on-one with members of the International Olympic Committee. They hope to learn a lot to enhance our bid to bring the Games here a second time, something that could happen as soon as 2030.
I'm Colby. I live in Park City, Utah.
Up next, meet some of the Utahns hoping to secure their spot on Team USA for Beijing. We can't talk about our Olympic legacy without looking ahead to the next Games. Sam Farnsworth has a quick look at the top storylines we'll be watching in February.
Salt Lake City's own Nathan Chen, the winner of the last 5 U.S. national championships, will be making his second Olympic appearance. After finishing off the medal podium in 2018 in 5th place, Chen is favored to win gold in February. Two-time gold medalist Michaela Schifrin returns for her 3rd Olympic Games, and it could be a historic one. Schifrin wants to compete in all 5 alpine ski events, and she's just 1 medal away from tying for most alpine medals in U.S. women's ski team history. After taking a 3-year break from snowboarding, Shaun White is making a bid to return and defend his gold medal. He, along with women's gold medalist Chloe Kim, will try to repeat the half-pipe sweep in Beijing. And this was supposed to be the games that the NHL's biggest stars returned to the Olympic stage. But with the league struggling to wrap up its own season because of COVID-19, the players will not be allowed to represent their countries in Beijing.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Utah regularly sends dozens of athletes to the Winter Olympics, and some of the biggest names in Beijing will be athletes that grew up, live, or train right here in our home state.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Carpenter-Siegel. Alpine skier. Definitely had a really strong season last year. Got injured, hurt my neck, but I've had a good return, really good training prep, and feel good about the season.
Hey, everyone. Keith Gable here, originally from Ogden, Utah. And I was very, very fortunate to start my career out in Park City with the NAC National Ability Center. It really put me in the right trajectory to have a lot of success in my sport.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany Bowe, 2-time Olympian, hopefully going for my 3rd Olympics here in a couple months. I'm training here in Salt Lake City.
I'm Erin Jackson. I'm 29 years old from Ocala, Florida, and I now live in Salt Lake City training with the U.S. national team for speed skating.
My name is Winter.
I'm originally from a small town in Michigan, but now reside in Park City, Utah. I'm a former triathlete and marathon runner, but now aerial skier.
I'm Colby. I live in Park City, Utah. I actually grew up here. I missed my opportunity in 2018. I tore my shoulder out in one of the Olympic qualifiers. So I'm really looking forward to staying healthy this year and hopefully going to Beijing.
Growing up in Salt Lake, and having the Olympics to have that sort of motivator allowed me to recognize how cool it is to be an athlete and what the Olympics are like. And I hope the next generation of athletes will be able to watch this next Olympics and be like, wow, that was so cool. And then be like, hey, maybe I want to try stepping on the ice or, stepping on the slopes or whatever it might be. And just using that as inspiration, because that's definitely what drove me to want to be an athlete.
My name's Faglini. I raced snowboard cross, 3-time Olympian, so this will be my fourth go around. Looking to get a medal this time. I was actually in the opening ceremonies in 2002. It was like this, huge experience for me. I was in 4th grade, and I think it also, shed light on that's where I want to end up. To see everyone push themselves to that next level, that extreme, is inspiring, and to just be walking there in the opening ceremonies with all those people and share that excitement with, the other athletes and then the people that are watching and then the people back home, family, friends, all your support network, having everyone believe in you and believing in yourself to that, I guess, caliber is so freaking powerful.
Over the next 10 weeks, we'll be bringing you the stories of more Olympic hopefuls, as well as our stories of our Olympic legacy as we get ready to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Salt Lake Games and look forward to another Games in our future.
The memories and magical legacy of our games still burn brilliantly in our hearts this very day.
We have these amazing facilities and legacy that it should come back at some point in time.
We have a living legacy going on.
That fire within stayed within all of us, and it will point to a hope of hosting a future games because our legacy is indeed our future.